that's another part of intelligence. And if you understand something, but you emotionally don't get it, you're not going to really change.
In this episode, I'm talking to Joe Hudson, an executive coach who's worked with countless CEOs and billionaires, including Sam Altman from OpenAI or co-founders of Twitter, to help them master their emotions so they can become unstoppable. We're going to talk about how to stop overthinking and get unstuck by using what he calls the golden algorithm, why smart people are more likely to self-sabotage, how to master stress to become unstoppable, what he would coach Elon Musk on to become even more effective, whether happiness is necessary or gets in the way of ambition, very eye-opening perspective that he brings, and how to make the best decisions by tapping into a higher intelligence. If you're new here, welcome to the Driven Podcast, where we talk about life strategies, where we view life like a game to achieve our goals faster while also maximizing enjoyment playing the game. Because what's the point of a game if it's not fun? So put in your seatbelts, let's get into it.
Do you ever have that happen? You coach somebody and they realize, wow, this whole thing that I've been building, my whole world breaks apart. Not breaks apart, but why am I doing this in the first place?
Absolutely. Yeah, all the time. I've easily a dozen times I've had it where people come and they're like, some version of, I'm at the grocery store and I don't know what to buy anymore.
Why?
So like typically we construct our whole world around a personality. Like this is who we are. This is who we think we are. It's not actually who we are, but it's who we think we are. And then when that gets seen through, it's very hard sometimes to just go through your normal routine. So you start questioning everything, right? I've been eating because I'm at the grocery store. I'm eating a whole bunch of crap food because that's what I do not to feel a certain emotion. I just found out that emotion is actually kind of cool and is a direct path to my freedom. I don't need to be like stuffing myself with that kind of crap food anymore. I don't know what to eat.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of changes. The only reason I'd hesitate to say that is because that scares people. They're like, oh my gosh, like my whole world might fall apart. The way the world falls apart is these things that actually aren't serving you, you just can't do any longer. It's not fall apart like you become incapable, at least for the long term. Like there might be a week or two where it's hit or miss, but I've never had anybody not have a more successful life eventually.
Yeah. And you have people coming with all sorts of challenges, stuckness, or are there any big ones that stand out most to you? There's probably stuckness.
Yeah, stuckness is a huge one. There's, we all have the same problems, but there's definitely flavors of them. And one of the things that I notice is that the more famous I get on YouTube, the more stuckness comes, because the more people look at that and go, that's my way out. They look at the coaching, they're like, somebody who can help me get out. And so they have become more attracted to us. But everything, bad marriages, having a hard time communicating, not being able to accomplish stuff, procrastination, porn addiction. I cannot tell you, like if we do a master class where this year we had 140 people in the master class, which is like our longest and most expensive class. And if you name a human problem, it was in there.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would say the challenge that's most prominent for me right now, or at least this year so far, has been a pattern of changing my mind quite quickly, which I think is good when you because starting the podcast has been a new discovery for me, or a new route.
Yeah.
And I've done things a certain way in my business that weren't sustainable. And so now I'm trying a bunch of new things, and I change my mind quite quickly. And I sometimes get into this state where I overthink.
Yeah.
And I admire people who just go with their gut.
Yeah. So
And
you
they just
sometimes overthink.
Sometimes. And then
When do you not overthink?
when I've convinced myself, hey, I think I found a really good route here. And then I go for it and I'm really excited. I get up with excitement in the morning.
Yeah. So that's after you've overthought. I'm just saying, when do you ever do anything without the overthinking?
A lot of times, I would say.
Yeah, so what makes the difference between the ones where you do overthink and you don't overthink?
I don't know, but if I did know, it would be
You know my question.
Yes.
How much of your overthinking relates to the amount of fear you have around the situation?
Yeah, it's probably rooted in fear.
Yeah.
And I guess the thinking behind it.
So what makes you not feel the fear?
What makes me
You're
not
doing
feel
a whole
the
bunch
fear?
of thinking to avoid the consequences,
I think-
avoid the fear that it could happen. What if you just felt the thing that could happen? There's a smile. Yeah. Yeah.
Is that it? Is that the thing you do with people?
That's the
I
thing.
feel it.
Yeah. That's the thing I do.
I was talking with someone on your team who was like, yeah, the challenging thing is that it's when you watch it, it's intellectual,
Yes.
but it's something that can really only be experienced.
Yeah.
Like that click that I just had where I'm like, yeah, what do I fear? Do I even need to know what I fear? Or can it just be...
It doesn't. No, it doesn't. It's helpful sometimes. So the way to think about it is if you want to have a complete transformation, you have to have all of the parts of your brain online for it. And so general metaphor would be that we have the head, which is the prefrontal cortex. And so when you're sitting there trying to think about your problem yourself, neurologically speaking, the prefrontal cortex lights up, but nothing else does. So you're sitting there thinking to yourself, but as soon as you start talking out loud, then other parts of your brain come online. So that's one. And you get from the brain, you're getting something like 11 bits of information a second or something crazy like that, where it's 10,000 from the body. And so the other form of intelligence that we have, I would call the heart, which would be the emotional center of your brain, but also it's like the emotions, which are held in your muscles. And so that's another part of intelligence. And if you understand something, but you emotionally don't get it, you're not going to really change. And the reason that that's the case is because the outside of like fight or flight, quick snake in the grass kind of things, our decisions get made in the emotional center of our brain. And so you can think all you want, I should exercise, but to actually exercise, there has to be an emotional understanding to exercise. It can't be just an intellectual understanding.
So how many parts of the brain are there?
There's infinite. I'm just, for my metaphor, but for my metaphor,
framework.
there's three. Yeah.
Okay. So it's
then there's the last one is the nervous system, which is the thing that would make the decision for you if it was a snake, right? That, oh gosh, under attack thing. And so if you're constantly feeling like you're under attack on your nervous system, there's a whole bunch of consequences, but your brain starts shutting down. You don't learn as quickly. There's a whole bunch of things. And if we're negatively self-talking to ourselves all the time, we're constantly under attack. And so you have to have alignment between the prefrontal cortex, the emotional part of the brain, and the nervous system part of the brain if you want transformation. And usually most techniques, they work because they're addressing one of those three places. But if it's not the place that's stuck with you, it doesn't work. And so everything we do, everything we built is built to like hit all three. And the way I coach, and the reason that seemed like an intellectual conversation, but all of a sudden I could see you get teary and that whole thing went down, is because we're not just operating on in the prefrontal cortex. So all the experiments we design, all the crazy things we do in the classes, which is not me sitting there talking, are all based on hitting all three parts of the brain.
Yeah. So that was emotional.
Yeah.
And what does nervous system look like?
The best way to heal the nervous system, the nervous system is kind of more of like an off-on switch, but there's a social component to it as well. But the way I would say it is, or the most effective way to think about it is your capacity to feel pleasure. So if your nervous system has great capacity to feel pleasure, then because pleasure is what we feel naturally when we feel safe. And I don't mean pleasure like having sex pleasure, which is great, have a lot of pleasure during sex, but I mean the pleasure of just being alive, of washing the dishes, of having this conversation together, the pleasure of feeling the sensations in your body moving. And so what that does is it tells your nervous system that it's safe. And there's other ways to think about the development of the nervous system, but generally what happens is as the nervous system develops, we become more aware, more attuned to ourselves, to others, and to the pain that we feel. And so self-development is kind of it's kind of shitty and awesome in this one way in which the more you develop, especially in the nervous system, the more you're sensitive to, the less you can tolerate. Right.
Okay.
So it's like, when I was 18 years old, I could put up with somebody lying to me, but now it's like, it's like,
Yeah.
right. I can't.
So you're very attuned to it, and
Yeah.
you just
I'm attuned to my own pain far more, because the more that you do the work, the more you can feel, and the less you're going to want to accept certain things.
Interesting. So where does the overthinking come from? Where would I get to go if let's say I'm at home again,
Yeah.
there's a decision to make, and I'm like, I think we want to take it in this direction, but what if this happens? What about this? I don't know.
So as soon as you're making a decision, there's already a clear indicator that you're in fear, right? So you make let's call one choices. Choices are the things that you're doing right now by talking to me. You're nodding your head. All those things are choices that you're making. We're going to call those choices because you're not making a decision. And then we're going to talk about the things that are decisions, which means I'm going to contemplate this. And so just for semantics, that's what we're saying. You make tons of choices all the time. Big choices, small choices, you're making them all the time. You never have to make a decision around them. As soon as you think, oh, I have to make a decision, then there's some fear. Then you're trying to avoid some consequence, or you wouldn't have to be making the decision. You can tell that decision making is even more entrenched in fears if it starts becoming binary. Do I start the podcast? Do I not start the podcast? Do I date the woman? Do I not date the woman? Then you're in deep fear and you should just not make the decision. Like, just stop thinking about it, because then you're going to have fear control the decision-making process. Not that there's anything wrong with fear, but fear is far more of an indication that either you're stepping into a room that's bigger than you're used to, like you're being called into something greater, and it's actually excitement that you're repressing, or it's an indication that you're not taking care of yourself in some way. I think it was Jeff Bezos who talks about it. He said, anxiety is more about that you're not doing the things you know you should be doing than how much you have coming at you. And I find that to be very true, that I can go into an organization where everybody's like constantly anxious, and we can start having the conversations that nobody's having, deal with the conflict that nobody's dealing with, and all that tension and overwhelm and anxiety starts leaving the room. And so really dealing with the things. So that's where the anxiety and fear, like that's the wisdom of it, but you don't want to be making decisions from there. That's not a great place. So the easiest thing to do is feel and invite the fear, and then feel and invite the consequence that you don't want to have. So think about it this way. If your decision-making process is such that I'm doing it for an emotional state, I'm using my intellect to decide where I think my emotional state will end up, but I'm really making the decision to feel good, or to feel loved, or to not feel like an asshole, or to not feel like a failure, and we're making that decision to feel a particular way, then clarity in decision-making only comes when you're happy to feel all those ways, right? Like if you want to be Sam Altman, you got to be good with feeling a whole bunch of ways, right? You're going to have people come at you. You're going to have the weight of the world on you. You're going to have people thinking all sorts of things. You're going to have all these responsibilities. If you want to be Tom Cruise, you're going to have to feel a whole bunch of ways too. And so clarity of decision-making, the ability to do amazing things for your life, is really also marked by your willingness to feel uncomfortable shit.
And a lot of it is just in our heads. It's not even it happening and then we feel it, but it's
correct.
We think, what if this happens? Okay, interesting.
Well,
so
it's actually more, we were trained as a kid not to have that happen. A
And
lot
so
of it.
fear comes up because we feel, oh, bad.
That thing might happen again.
Interesting.
Yeah. And there's some natural stuff, but for sure.
Yeah, I think for me, the core fear when overthinking and, I have to make a decision is that I don't want to make the wrong decision and then I can't go back. And then the damage is done and then there's no coming back from it.
Right. Yeah.
And I can see how I was brought up to believe things like that, where it was, do not make the wrong decision here.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay.
Right.
So then it's just about, can I make peace with that? And
I think about Brene Brown. She had one of her YouTube like TED Talks, and she just like walked on stage and said, I just want to welcome all the failures in the room, and everybody claps. Right? Nobody gets to a place of any kind of consequence without making a tremendous amount of mistakes. But this is a crazy reframe. And as soon as you make the reframe, it like changes all of it, which is, so we have a part of our brain called the habenula, and the habenula basically is the part of our brain that makes sure that we don't fail multiple times in a row. And it's in all invertebrate or all vertebrae. And so basically if you're a bear and you fought for mating rights and you lost, you probably shouldn't like go back and fight for mating rights right away. Or if you ate the wrong mushroom, you don't want to go and eat that mushroom again. So this is the part of the brain that's meant for that. And so it's unfortunately the same part of the brain that makes us do something like, oh, I got on a diet, I'm doing great for a couple of weeks, and then I ate chocolate cake, and then immediately I'm just like, well, I failed, fuck it, and I'm not doing the diet anymore. Or I worked out and then I didn't do it for 2 days, so it's over. It's that same part of the brain. And so when they did research to find out they went into people who were not very wealthy, and they said, who were the people who could actually lose weight? And what they found out was it was always those with an iterative mindset. So the people who were iterating on something, they were just running experiment after experiment. Those were the people who consistently lost weight because there was never a failure point. There's never a place where their brain could go, I failed.
yeah,
And so let's say you want to do something like a podcast. The way that you would use that principle is you would say, I'm going to do a podcast. I've decided I'm doing the podcast. Here are the 20 iterations I'm going to do for the podcast. So you're going to make a mistake. Great. Who cares? You've got like 10 more iterations that you're going to do. And so if you just like set up a series of iterations on anything that you want to try, and then that's exactly like what we do in business. So if, everybody who works in my team has to like create 3 experiments that they're running on their particular expertise every quarter so that they never think they can fail. And we actually celebrate failures. We sat in this room and everybody in our team, we have about 18 people now, at some point had to stand on one of these boxes and announce their biggest failure and get like a round of standing ovation from everybody because we love failure.
Yeah.
But that reframe can take a lot of anxiety out of it.
I like that. And I think that's where I go to, where I'm like, okay, I got to make a decision here. But then I get excited again when I find the new iteration. And
Yes.
It keeps me going. So, and I can do the iterations without the overthinking.
Yes, exactly.
So I can have both, the best of both worlds.
Yeah. And especially, I know this is kind of geeking out a little bit, but like an advanced move is the first iteration, or the iterations that I do early on, are the ones that I can learn the most about the thing that I know the least amount in the shortest period of time. So in MIT, for instance, I'll give you the example. In MIT, at the Media Lab, they teach you how to build stuff that's never been built before. And what they tell you is basically, if you are, say, building a car for the first time, what most people do is they'll build all the stuff that they know. And let's say they know everything but the catalytic converter. And then they will build the catalytic converter. And then they will try to put it into the car. And they will realize that the car needs to be rebuilt around the catalytic converter because they didn't understand the catalytic converter. So the first thing you do is you run the experiment, a simple experiment to find out the most that you can about the catalytic converter with the least amount of effort.
Interesting.
So like maybe the first experiment for doing a podcast is to call up 10 podcasters and say, tell me about your journey.
Yeah.
Easy experiment, doesn't take a lot, and you learn the most from it. And so you're looking for those, how do I learn the most of the stuff that I don't know?
You work with a lot of insanely ambitious people.
That is a great word for the people I work with. Yes.
What are the commonalities you see most across the board?
Outside of ambition? Well, at the level that I'm working at, typically high intelligence is a really common trait that happens.
Or I mean specifically challenges.
Oh, the challenges. Oh, yeah. They're more diverse than you would think, but I think one of the most common ones is self-reliance. So a lot of the people who have gotten into that position, who have that kind of ambition, have learned that they have to take care of themselves and everything else. So oftentimes they feel very alone. Oftentimes they feel like they can't depend on people. And it's an amazing thing when you point out, you're like, okay, you run a 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 person company. Everybody's here's primary objective is to make sure you're happy with their job. Like, so all these people are here to make sure that you're happy and you feel alone. Like that's weird. Like what's going on there? So for them to be able to see through that thing is really important, because what it does is as long as they're feeling alone and full of self-reliance, they're typically disempowering their employees. They're disempowering the people who work for them, except for maybe a few that they trust. And so they don't get the best performance from the people. So self-reliant people are the hardest people to help. And they make sure that they're proving over and over again. I see the smirk on your face, like you might relate here. That basically they're the hardest to help, because they have a vested interest. Their personality requires them to make sure that they recreate and reprove this reality that they're in it alone, even though like just this whole thing, like how would we do this without the people who bought the table, bought the table, built the table, the couch, the cameras, we're not doing anything alone ever.
I actually built all this before you.
Yeah, exactly.
So how do you walk them through that challenge?
So typically I don't. So the way that I coach is that I solve the problem that they think they have, not the problem that I think they have.
Oh.
Yeah. So it doesn't really matter.
So they don't know it's self-reliance. They think it's something else.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, gotcha. What do they think it is?
Why can't I get my organization to align behind the goals is probably one of the most typical
Interesting
ones. Or why can't I depend on anybody? Or why do I have to do everything myself? Those are usually the questions that they're asking.
It sounds like they are connected to the actual issue, but they lack responsibility for it. They think, oh, I can't depend on anyone else, rather than I'm too self-reliant.
Oh, correct. Yeah. So that's actually that's why it's disempowering, right? So the learned helplessness at the top translates to learned helplessness at the bottom of an organization or in a marriage. So if one side is I can't rely on anybody, then the other side is, some version of, but they're gonna blah, blah, blah. Right. Yeah. So it's more of a passive aggressive response to it. So that's how the thing works.
Yeah. And then and
if you really think about what's really cool and really totally amazing, is you're dealing with people who decide, I think it's possible to, inside of 5 to 10 years, build a multi-billion-dollar company, or I think it's possible to raise whatever, $100 billion, but I don't think it's possible for a team to really get along while working together. I don't think it's possible to have a happy marriage, or I don't think it's possible for me not to be self-reliant. It's an amazing thing what the human mind can trick us to think.
And so how do you then coach them to get the result they want?
Yeah. So how do I coach is like a 10-hour video. The main principles I have, in coaching people is that I follow their wisdom. So that's the biggest thing that I'm doing. I'm asking them what their problem is. I'm letting them, and I'm asking questions more. I think I just asked you questions is really all I did. And so
And you're not self-reliant.
yeah,
You trust their wisdom.
exactly.
Which is you are the transformation that they get to have, right?
Yeah, that's a cool way to look at it. I hadn't looked at it that way. That's really sweet. Yeah. Yeah, so that's one of the main principles. The other principle is that unconditional love is really important. So even though I'm like clearly astute about like the little smiles and the facial expressions and all that stuff, there's nothing that I'm judging. And which is interesting because sometimes I have to be very clinical. You know, I have to be able to just very surgically assess somebody. But if I would never sacrifice that for an open heart towards the person, because transformation won't happen if they don't feel safe. And so that's a really critical part of my coaching.
Yeah, you can influence someone if they feel judged.
You cannot influence them in a way that's going to be positively transformational.
You can influence them, just not the direction you want them to go. Yeah, which is interesting. I mean, looking at how divided the United States is, I think if people understood that, right, we wouldn't be in this situation. But
you could even go one step higher than that and say if people weren't judging themselves, right? Like nobody judges somebody else who isn't judging themselves. Like the judgment again is just a way for us not to feel an emotional experience. So like think about any moment that you've judged anybody in the last week. Right? And so really think about that moment for a second and say, what is it that if you couldn't judge, you would have to feel? Right?
Yeah. I can't believe we had bagels this morning and you touched it with your hands. There was no bathroom around. And I was using, did you see that? And so what I get to feel is greasy hands.
Or disgust.
Out
of controlness, helplessness.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's the out of controlness.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to have greasy hands get into my car, but that's just a small, silly example. But
that's how it works. That's right. And so back that up for a second and just see your parents not wanting you to get something wrong. Right? They were trying not to feel something, probably also out of controlness. Right. And so that judgment that they passed on to you was just them being scared of an emotion.
So I think it's a common belief or fear that, hey, if I feel my worst fears, or let's say I feel the failure and I accept it, I let it in.
Yeah.
Isn't that what drives me? Like somebody might say, right? And I think it's a common experience that, if I were to lose my fear of going broke, of losing my marriage, of whatever, then I wouldn't be driven.
Yeah, that is the common fear. That's the first level fear. The first level fear of not feeling your emotions or not listening to the negative self-talk is, I'm just going to sit on the couch and do nothing. So somehow or another, that would also, like, just to deconstruct that for a minute, that would mean that the Buddha must have been afraid, Gandhi must have been afraid, like all these people who achieved like great stuff in the world. Mandela must have been like in jail because he was scared. Right? So that's one thing. The other way to look at it is, imagine you have an employee and like every 2 or 3 hours, you're like, you might be homeless soon.
That works. Yeah.
You're like, that's going to get the performance that I need from that employee. Right. So somehow or another, we think that we justify that we would treat ourselves in a way that we would never treat anybody else to get productivity. So it's nonsensical. And the only reason it particularly can work is because it's all happening without like the whole body experience. And so we have a ton of studies that show that if people are in deep sense of fear, what it does is it limits their capacity to think, it limits their capacity to learn, it limits their ability to make decisions. So it's just not true. Your motivation might change, like you might not be motivated to eat the crap food or, just go for the money, but it doesn't, And my personal experience is the less fear, the easier, more enjoyable, and the more success I get.
Yeah, it seems like looking into the outside world, there's oftentimes a choice between, do I want to be successful or do I want to be happy?
Yeah.
And on a logical level, I think we all understand, yeah, no, we should be able to do both. But I think even some people would disagree there. But when you look at some of the highest achievers, taking the scoreboard of money, of how big their companies are, whatever it is, or how athletic they are, their athletic performance, oftentimes they are not really happy people, or even miserable.
The studies actually, there's a study that I heard about recently. I haven't verified the study, but I'm sure it's verifiable, and the source seemed pretty credible. That they were like taking the top 25 tennis players, and they basically were trying to figure out what made the top 5 different from the bottom 20. And the difference was the positive, like their actual relationship with themselves. Like if they missed, they were like, oh, you'll get it next time.
Okay, so they were actually happier.
They were basically like enjoying the game more.
Yes.
But that's just the best way to say it, is they were enjoying the game more.
Wow.
Yeah. So you can have great success by beating yourself up.
Yeah.
And that's why people think it. The reason people think I can't have success and a happy life is because they think that they need to beat themselves up. But there's no evidence to actually, there's plenty of people who are highly successful and happy. There's plenty of people more that are highly successful and miserable, but the counterexamples are there. I would even say that that whole thought process is a miserable person's excuse to stay miserable. They're basically like, what's really happening there is they're thinking, I can't be happy, but at least I can be rich, or at least I can be a winner. But the belief that I can't be happy is before the belief that I need to have it to win. I need to be unhappy to win.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so they're basically trying to win to feel happy or to feel good enough. And because they don't believe they can actually feel it being who they are. Yeah. And unfortunately, the only way to feel happy is to feel it for being who you are. You don't get to feel happy because you succeeded at something. You can for an hour or 2 hours or something like that. But being great at something doesn't create happiness. Happiness is realizing your inherent value, not the value that you provide on a day-to-day.
What a sad realization it must be to achieve all your goals and then realize later on, oh, I could have been happy this whole time as well. Right?
Yeah. And a sad realization and a fucking great one. So I mean, I've been with people while they do have that recognition, and often it sounds like, I can't believe I'm 45 years old and I'm now just learning blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I'm always like, wow, you got there by 45.
Yeah.
Better than most.
Yeah. If it's at the end of your life, at the end of your career or whatnot, that's when it's mostly sad.
Yeah.
The prime example I think of someone who is mega successful but miserable and has openly spoken about it is Elon Musk.
Yeah.
If he called you up and he was like, hey, Joe, heard great things about you.
Yeah.
Work with me. Like wherever you take me, this is where I'm going to go.
Yeah.
How would you work with someone like him? How would you coach him?
I wouldn't work with anybody who's doing drugs. So the first thing I would ask him to do is not do drugs on any kind of regular basis. And I mean, ketamine's highly addictive. He talks about doing ketamine. So the first thing I would do is I would do that. And then probably the second thing with Elon that I would do,
because it's a crutch.
It's just, I mean, ketamine in particular, it was made out to be a psychedelic. It's not. It was made out to be non-addictive. It is. The effects are that it creates delusional thinking. And so long-term ketamine use actually has a whole bunch of really, like, it just makes your brain not work right.
Interesting. That's bad for someone like
self-aggrandizing, delusional thinking. Yeah. So there's.
When did he start ketamine? Was that before he started all these crazy companies?
I don't know. No, it was no. I think
he already had that beforehand.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
So, I don't know his exact timeline and when he started admitting it. So for me, and I don't know how he uses it. There's I'm sure there's a way to use ketamine that's safe, but it doesn't sound or look like that. So so that would be the first thing. And then the second thing I would do with him is he has a kind of famous quote, and I've heard him say it, where he thought about like, what's the meaning of life? And so this would be me following him, and how he thought about it for a long time, and how there's like really no meaning of life, that, that whole thing. And what I would say to him is, that is the ineffective question. So like, as an engineer, he would understand what an effective question to solve and an ineffective question. I'm like, that's an ineffective question. And the effective question is, what are you essentially? So what are you that you've always been from the moment you were born till now? What are you that isn't something that can be taken away? Like, I can cut off part of your body and you're still you. This emotion comes and goes, you're still you. This thought comes and goes, you're still you. Your companies rise and fall, you're still you. What's the you that is essential? That's the right question to be asking. And I would ask him to sit with that for a while and come back to me. And then from that place, we could decide. And then the other thing is, I for anybody I work with, they need to be very high integrity. And so if I would make sure that we had agreement on that. So there, for me, if I'm working with somebody, there would be a whole bunch of requirements before I work with somebody. And the reason that I act like that is because I know there's not a lot of people. I don't mean this in an arrogant way, just in a practical way. There's not a lot of people who can do what I do. And so I want to make sure that I'm doing it in a place that's most impactful, that's most rewarding for me, and with people that I feel like are actually going to be using that gift, not just wasting my time.
He's a strong advocate for working tirelessly.
Yes.
Into the night.
Yes.
Is that something you would work with him on as well? Is that something you would challenge him on, or do you think it's...
Again, it would be really, I follow him. So if that's something that he's not questioning, I wouldn't question it either.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But most likely, usually when somebody works tirelessly into the night, typically they don't question working tirelessly in the night, but what they question is the ramifications of that. The fact that they need to release that tension in self-destructive ways, or that they are having relationships fall apart or something like that. And so in addressing that, he may or may not find like more effective ways to work that wouldn't require that same kind of tirelessly thing. But usually people who are that smart and that ambitious, you give them 5 extra minutes and they'll start a new company. So I suspect that he would continue working like that for a while, and then we'd be looking for ways to a lot of, like, one of the biggest misconceptions that people have is, for me to have a good marriage, it's going to require extra time for me to have, so it doesn't require,
just to get more results in my company, I need to work more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so it doesn't always require the extra time. So, or it doesn't require almost ever as much as people think it requires for having the good relationships and getting the tension release in a healthy way, or all those other things.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you said that your job as a CEO is to make better decisions.
Yeah.
And a decision doesn't take much time. You can do it in a moment, but if you're in the right state, you're well rested, you're clear-headed, you're not driven by fear or whatever else.
Yes.
There's probably a lot of better decisions he could make if he just took a little bit more.
Yeah. Yes. I would say that there's nobody on the planet who can't increase their capacity that I've met so far. Yeah. So I would assume he falls into that same category. And I remember an interview with him where he was just talking about how it's really hard to be in his own head. I think he said most people wouldn't choose it.
Yes.
be him. They think they would, but they wouldn't. And so if there is a way to resolve some of that tension, I guarantee he would be more. There is a way to resolve that kind of tension. I know that, and I know that that would make him more effective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great. You mentioned one of the things about highly intelligent people is that they have better defense mechanisms.
Yes. Yeah, they do.
Well, let's talk about that. I find that fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. So highly intelligent people, the studies show that they can convince themselves of falsehood more easily than not highly intelligent people. They also are more likely to be depressed and more likely to have more self-critical talk in their head.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think that is? Because they could technically also use their intelligence to find the beauty in everything, right? I guess it maybe just comes back to our human condition.
Yeah, I mean, there's something evolutionary about us figuring out the problem over the solution, like looking for the problem, not the solution. And studies show that that's what we do by nature. And so if you're really smart, you're finding a lot more of them than if you are, not so smart. So I think that's part of it. I also think there's part of it is that smarter people are more likely to live in their head than in their whole body. At least until they learn. And then when their intelligence goes towards, oh, wait, there's this whole other source of intelligence and wisdom that I can access, then oftentimes I see those. I mean, I see our people, the smart people, like when they find the body, they're just like, holy crap. And like things change really quickly. But the reality is that most of them, to get highly smart, really lived in their head for a long time. And so that's another reason I think it happens.
Mm-hmm. So why get in touch with your body?
So many reasons. Because there's an intelligence in your body that you don't get. Like emotional intelligence exists in your body and your muscles. And so they're incredibly wise. Emotions are incredibly wise. They teach you exactly where to go, how to get things done. They improve decision making. I can't tell you how many people can't decide on something and then they release an emotion and they immediately get clarity. I mean, I've seen that hundreds of times now. So all of that requires being in your body. And the other thing is that a whole bunch of things that we do as humans are unconscious to the brain, but are conscious in the body. So I'm sitting here talking to you. We have mirror neurons happening. I know if I'm in an open state or a closed state, not by my brain, but by my body. I know you're in an open state or a closed state because of my mirror neurons. So I find that out in my body, not in my mind.
It's just, yeah.
Yeah, I can sense my tension quicker in my body than in my brain. I can sense my fear quicker. I can sense anything that's fucking with my decision making quicker. The ability to perceive reality through the body, some parts of reality through the body, is just a ton quicker than you could ever do it with your brain.
And the brain usually fills in the gaps afterwards with justifications, stories.
Yes.
Rationalizations. Oh, I feel this way because X, Y, and Z.
Often wrong and
often wrong.
Mostly unnecessary.
Yes. It's like we've already made the decision here.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So how does one go about getting in touch with the body to make decisions from a higher intelligence?
Yeah. So expressing emotions, becoming aware, like having a practice of how am I feeling in my body right now? So the thing that happens is that if I've been physically abused, right, as a kid, and there's studies on this where you put like a physically abused kid, you put a quarter in one hand and a key in another hand without telling them which is which, they can't tell you because they've literally cut off their capacity to feel their body. We do that same thing emotionally. There, you can tell people who were either emotionally abused or emotions weren't okay in their house, which is a form of abuse. You'll notice that they can't actually identify. I was like that. I couldn't identify the emotions that I was having.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can relate to that too. Because I'm like
half of Germany, I think, can relate.
Yes, to that. 100%. I mean, one of the big things is being very considerate of other people, being quiet, and so I'm getting better at it as I'm maturing.
Yeah.
But I feel my emotions and it's bad,
Right.
just bad. But I think there's
good. I feel good.
Yeah, there's a
Neither
lot of
which are emotions.
distinctions
Yeah.
that you can make where it's anger, it's fear, it's betrayal, it's whatever it is. And I think that's what a lot of emotional intelligence is being able to pinpoint, what am I actually feeling? What's the distinction here? It's not just bad,
That's a stage in it for sure. And then bad disappears because they're all good. I mean, they're uncomfortable or comfortable, but we have a tool that anybody can download for free called Emotional Inquiry, which basically brings wonder into the emotional experience. And so that really teaches people to understand their emotions better. But what happens is, like, the emotion, for most people, that emotion hits, they register it for a second or two, and they register it as, that's good, I'd like that, or that's bad. And then they try to stop feeling the bad one, and they chase after the good one for a while, and then the good one becomes usually too intense, and so they block that one off too. And so that's typically what happens. But what nobody does, and what the emotional inquiry thing is all about, is how do you investigate an emotional experience, right? So what you don't know, for instance, is let's say one of the things you think is bad is the feeling of failure. Like, where is that in your body exactly? How long does it last? How does it move in your body? Is it stagnant? How thick is it? How dense is it? Do you feel it in your throat, in your, like, we don't actually investigate it. And then we don't investigate how we react to it. Like, okay, so if I try to push it aside, what does it actually do? Or if I invite it in, what does it do? Or if I make fun of it, what does it do? So we actually haven't investigated the emotional experience at all. We've just gone, don't like, great. Or like, oh, please, please, please. Oh, wait, where are you going?
so one is feeling it, expressing it.
Not at anybody, so I'm not suggesting people start yelling at each other, but
Expressing it means expressing it from a place of while feeling it, rather than just, I feel this. It's not saying it.
correct. Yeah, it's like crying if you're sad,
Yeah.
thrashing if you're angry. Yeah. And that's where the second layer comes in. So the first layer is, I would be unproductive. I will become, if I allow these emotions in, everything's going to blow up. And I'm not going to be able to do the thing that I want to do. But the second layer is, take the three main, what we call negative emotions, that you find out are freaking amazing. The problem with sadness is that you're going to feel sad forever. So people are like, I'm not going to cry because if I do, I'll get sad forever. I'm not going to get angry because I'll destroy the things that I love. And I'm not going to get scared because I'm going to be incapable if I'm scared. But the truth is just the opposite. We've all had a good cry, or most of us have had a good cry and felt better at the end of it. It doesn't last forever. Not crying lasts forever. Crying doesn't. Anger, if you don't get angry at somebody, but you just go into a room and you get angry, you find out that what anger is you don't get angry at anything you don't care about. Anger is just love that's gotten all wonky. Like, we only get angry about things that we really deeply care about. And so you actually get to the love on the other side of anger. And if you really go into that helplessness or that fear, you become more capable, because now I'm not avoiding half of my life because of fear. It actually increases capacity. And then there's the positive emotions. Yeah, that, like, people all think, oh, I would love to feel happy all the time, but no, most people wouldn't. And there's a couple great examples that, like, make this really clear. The first one is, you go into a cafe and there's a person in there crying by themselves. It's not going to make you that uncomfortable. Maybe you'll be like, oh, are you okay? Now you go into a cafe, there's someone there laughing hysterically by themselves. That's unsafe. Right? So it's this crazy thing that the other one is, like, I've been in rooms where we're like inviting people to get angry, and I will watch people get angry for, like, people who haven't gotten angry for their adult life get angry for like 40 minutes straight. But I'll have people get on the floor and start experiencing pleasure, and 5 minutes in, everybody's like, okay, that's enough.
Yeah.
So what's actually weird is that what happens is that people don't want to, usually it starts with anger or sadness, depending on how you were raised. So you probably have access to one, but not the other. And then you feel that, then you get into your fear, and then you start getting into, and each one of them, there's resistance, but you start getting into the, I would say, peace, joy, excitement, exuberance, like all the positive emotions that people feel really weird. Like just do an excitement exercise. At some point, just be like, I'm going to just express my excitement for being alive for the next 15 minutes. See if you can make it 5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why is that? Is it because it's exhausting? It's just how the emotions are built. They're just not meant to last for that long.
No. I mean, look at little kids. They can get excited for like a long period of time, right? Yeah, no, it's because we get scared that they're going to go away, or scared we're going to lose control, or we're scared that we're going to.
You have something to lose.
You have something to lose, and or like, the same reason that most people have sex is sex instead of like all the amazing pleasure that it can be.
Yeah.
They're not like really deeply getting into the pleasure. They're just going for the release. It's because that pleasure to some degree evaporates our sense of self. We lose ourselves in that. And so we get scared of it.
Yeah.
And all of them, we're just taught not to have them too, right? Johnny, stop being so excited. Johnny, calm down. Don't have a temper tantrum.
Yeah.
Stop crying. Boys don't cry. Girls don't get mean. Girls don't get angry. It's just like, we just get taught it. It's not safe. We basically get taught, if you're going to be that way, I'm not going to love you. Okay, I'll stop being that way.
Yeah. Interesting. Do you think it's worth knowing where it comes from and knowing, it's because this parent said this and this is what happened to me? Or is it just like, hey.
It can be very helpful, but not necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I'm very curious about is how does one go after an outcome, a big goal, while also being detached from it?
That's a great question.
Do you get that a lot?
No, I don't. I get one or the other. How do I be detached from my goals, or how do I go after my goals? But I don't usually get the paradoxical question, which is a really good.
Because it seems like a paradox, but I don't know if it should be.
Oh, it isn't.
Right? Because the premise of the channel and the podcast is to do both.
Yeah.
Because we're very greedy. We don't just want the success. We also want to enjoy having it.
It's not
right.
It's not success if you don't enjoy having it.
Exactly. It's like viewing life like a game where, okay, how do I win the game, and how do I have the most fun playing the game? Because if it's not fun, why would I play the game? And so, how does one go about that? What have you found?
There's so many things. There's so many tricks to this. The first one is, whatever you think your goal is, go for the thing that's beyond the goal. So if you're going for money, the least effective way to get money is to have money be your goal. It'd be far more effective to find something beyond that, like be the best in the class, because then money is something you have to get to be best in the class.
Yeah.
Or be the first to deliver AI to humanity, then you have to have money to make that happen. So you find a goal that's beyond it is one of the things, is one of the tricks to achieving the goal. In general, enjoyment is just a more efficient method to get to your goal than non-enjoyment. And so, but usually what people do is they prioritize the order of operations backwards. So most of the time what people do is they say, once I have X, Y, and Z, then I can be happy. Once I meditate enough, I can be happy. When I get the girl, I can be happy. But in all those things, it's like, do you think you're going to get the right girl if you're happy, or if you're not happy until you get the girl, right? Like the happy guy is probably going to get the girl quicker. And the person who's like, I can be happy and meditate is probably going to progress in meditation quicker. I think a lot of these things are pretty self-apparent, but somehow or another, like worldly success is not in that category, but it's absolutely not the case. And so think about it this way. You want to have a really fast car, or you want an efficient car. If you want a really fast car, you're going to get something that goes 0 to 60 very, very quickly. If you want an efficient car, you're going to have something that goes 0 to 60 with not very much energy. If you want to be efficient in life, then you want to go from 0 to 60 without very much energy. Or if you want to be efficient in business, you want to go from 0 to 60 without a lot of energy. You don't want to get there quickly. You want to be able to accomplish it without a lot of tax. So how do I know how much energy I've spent in a day? By how much I enjoyed it. If I feel enjoyment and charge at the end of my day, like that was a great day, then I'm probably going to show up tomorrow and do it. And I had an extremely efficient day.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that stops people from doing that is they say, I can't enjoy this thing. Absolute bullshit. So right now, I just want you to enjoy this moment without doing anything differently, just 10% more. It fucking takes nothing. As a matter of fact, it just gave us a little bit of energy.
Yeah.
So if I can do that just sitting here, how can I not do that doing any job that I'm doing? And then if you think about that on a company level, which if you're going to be highly successful, you're going to need people around you to do it. Who do you think's the team that plays better? The team that enjoys being around each other or fucking hates being around each other? The people who are enjoying the game or the people who aren't enjoying the game? Yeah. So it's just a matter of making sure you're enjoying everything you're doing or that you're learning to enjoy the things that you do and prioritizing that without saying, yeah, the other piece is, here's something that teams don't enjoy doing, losing. Here's, they also don't enjoy not actually playing hard. Hey, let's all play this game, but we're going to kind of half-ass it. Everybody in? Everybody want that? Nobody wants that.
Yeah.
So if we're focused on enjoyment, we're going to be more likely. We want to win. We're going to enjoy winning. That's going to be part of the process.
Anything else you found to make things more enjoyable that, sometimes you have to do that you might not want to do? So one of the things is just asking yourself, okay, how do I enjoy this moment 10% more?
Yeah.
Any other tools?
Oh, there's infinite amount of tools to enjoy life. The biggest one is the head trip. The head trip is seen through the self-talk of it. So I remember I did this experiment, which is kind of how I led my whole life, is I was just doing this iterative experiment to understand myself, to understand the world. And I decided I was going to take a week, and it ended up being 2, where I was not going to do anything that I didn't enjoy. I would not do anything that I didn't, just to see what life was like. And I did not enjoy taking out the trash. But there I was in my kitchen, and I did not enjoy smelling the trash, as it turned out. And so I'm like, what am I going to do? And I must have looked like an idiot. I'm sitting there in front of the trash can, don't enjoy, what am I going to? And so my only option is to learn how to enjoy taking out the trash. Yeah. That's the only option I had.
You probably also weren't enjoying sitting there deciding which route to go. So you're trapped.
Exactly. So the thing that I recognize is that the only thing that makes it so I'm not enjoying taking out the trash is a state of mind. And I don't mean to say okay, now I'm going to be positive all the time. That's actually incredibly, I would say, unhealthy, because you're ignoring all the negative signals that are there. But if there are people in the world who can enjoy, who say, what I would like to do? I would like to go to a beach and clean up trash because I would enjoy that. I would do that with my free time. If they can figure that out, I can figure out how to enjoy taking out my trash can. And so, that's how. And so the biggest thing is just to stop the head trip. And the biggest part of that head trip is I have to do it. I should do it. You want to take the enjoyment out of something, tell yourself you have to do it or you should do it.
And I choose to do it.
I want to. Can't wait to.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, I get to.
I have a theory that even when it comes to foods that you like, it's oftentimes just a matter of perspective. If there's a food you don't like, if you change your perspective about how it should taste, then I think you can learn to like it. It's a theory I have. I don't know if that's true, but I'm somebody who I like any food. I'm not a foodie at all. You can give me just steamed vegetables without salt, and I'm going to be like, oh, this is great.
Yeah.
So it's a blessing.
Yeah.
I think licorice is one of these foods, for example. People either love it or they hate it.
Yeah.
And I think the people who hate it are the ones who think it should be sweet or it's a candy. But if you just see, oh no, it's not supposed to be sweet. It's supposed to have this taste. So, and I think the same happens with activities. For example, when I was hiring a year ago, I was like, oh man, hiring is so tough because it's like looking for a needle in a haystack. You go through all these applications and sometimes there's not even a needle in the haystack.
Right.
And I was talking to a friend of mine. He's like, really? Like, I love hiring. I'm like, really? What do you love about it? He's like, oh, it's like digging for gold.
Right.
And I'm like, if I saw it from that perspective, I would have a completely different experience and I would probably like it more because I would look at every application. I would have every interview thinking, maybe that's the one. Maybe that's the person. And so, cool story. The way it turned out is I still don't enjoy it.
Hiring.
And I just hired him to do it.
Oh, that's great.
So great. Yeah. I was like, hey, he gets to do what he likes. And we found someone amazing. So that's what I'm hearing in that is choosing to do something is a different perspective. It changes the perspective of the task that you don't want to do instead of I have to.
I mean, it's an interesting thing because that's part of it. But then the other, like in the hiring thing, one of our things in our firm, in our group, which is not huge, but I only work with people that I am like, oh, I love working with them.
Yeah.
And I only work with people who also think I love working here. Because I know there's somebody out there who will be so happy to have a job like the ones that we have to offer within the community that we have to offer. And in the company culture that we have to offer, there's people where you're like, I cannot believe I've hit the freaking jackpot by doing this. And I want to feel the same way about them. And so there's also that. So there's also a standard. So it's not, I'm not going to just learn how to enjoy working with an asshole.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I'm gonna also say, I have a standard that I'm going to keep here.
Yeah. It sounds like, again, you're prioritizing enjoyment.
Correct.
Over, this person is way more qualified. They have more skills, but I don't really, I don't mind them, right? So
So what I know, I mean, being a venture capitalist for so many years, one of the things I saw more and more over the years was some version of, we've got a team of 10 salespeople and all of them are, say, going at a 3 out of 10. And there's this one person who's doing 7 out of 10 work, but everybody freaking hates that person. And that person leaves and everybody goes from 3 out of 10 to like 5 out of 10.
Wow.
So to me, the cohesion of the team is so critical, so important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned choosing to do something rather than I have to or should.
Yes.
Then
I want to do it. I want to do it instead of I have to. I should.
Even choosing to do it sounds like not as great as I want to.
Yeah, exactly.
What was the other thing to enjoy your work more? It was, how can I find 10% more enjoyment? Is there any other tool that comes to mind?
Yeah, this one's a kind of backwards one, but it is learning to feel that pleasure that we talked about before, like the simple pleasure of being alive. And so if you learn how to feel the simple pleasure of being alive, just enjoyment in general increases. Also, feeling all your emotions. I have a quote that says, joy is the matriarch of a family of emotions, and she won't come into a house where her children aren't welcome. And so if you are pushing away some set of emotions, it's really hard to get to joy.
Yeah.
So that's another way.
Yeah, even if it is anger, even if it is
any
sadness.
of them, or excitement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or love.
Yeah. Going back to the achieving while detached from the outcome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What else is there?
Yeah. So on achieving, so the biggest one is just to put the enjoyment first. I don't know if detached from the outcome is necessary as much as not taking it personally.
Yeah. Or at least not being attached to an outcome that you may not control. So you mentioned if I want the money,
Yeah.
what should be the goal?
Right.
Not
yeah.
the money.
But I just mean it just generally is like detached seems to speak to this idea of,
Yeah.
maybe.
It's not allowing emotions.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's more about taking it non-personally. So my experience is that when I live principled, the results are always better than the ones I could have imagined. So my goals always have, this is such a strange thing to say, but it actually gets me kind of emotional. My goals have always been far less than what I achieve. Like I've often said, like, my life is a dream come true that I never knew was possible. So I couldn't have conceived it as a goal.
Wow.
And so what I notice is that the way I get there is by living principled. I have a goal. I always have a goal because I like having a North Star. I like knowing what direction I'm going in. And I'll take time to wander and everything. But for me, it's more important to live principled. So I have like 5 or 6 principles that I live by. And I will make decisions based on those principles. And even if it's, okay, if I scheme this way, I can get the thing that I want, or I scheme that way, I can play 3-dimensional chess, I can blah, 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 blah. I don't do that. If I notice my mind is doing that, I'm like, I don't trust that. I say, what's the principle that I'm living by?
Yeah.
And when I live by the principle, it always ends up in a better place than the goal that I had in mind. Always ends up in a better place. And usually it includes the goal that I had in mind. It goes beyond the goal that I had in mind.
Yeah. What do those principles look like? Is it ways of operating? Is it...
Yeah. So for me, a principle is something that you can make decisions by. If I can't make 80% of my decisions by a series of principles, then they're not the right principles. If I don't believe that I will have success with those principles, then they're not the right principles. So my principles are things like embrace intensity. So that doesn't mean create intensity.
Yeah.
It means that if there's an intense situation going in, I lean into it. Just the same way somebody who's working out would do, whether that's emotional intensity or the intensity of love or the intensity of excitement, I'll lean into it, not avoid. So my experience is that is one of the things that leads to success, and it is very easy to make a decision by.
Yeah.
Like, oh, something doesn't feel right between us. I'm gonna talk to you about it.
Yeah.
It's like very easy to make a decision by. Act from connection is another one that's very easy for me to make a decision. How am I going to market? Well, what's the way that I feel connected marketing? What's the way that the people who I'm marketing to can feel connected?
Wow.
I am going to hire somebody. How do I do that in a way that I feel connected and that they can feel connected to me? Anything that I do, I run through that principle.
Yeah.
And so I have 5 principles like that: loving accountability, and some others. But that's what I'm looking for in a set of principles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Loving accountability. What are the remaining 2?
Loving accountability, embrace intensity. You put me on the spot. I can't even remember the ones that I just told you. Everything is an iteration. We talked about that one too, which is the habenula, like you're constantly iterating.
Great.
Still can't remember the one that I
Through
just
the
told you.
like using connection.
Art of connection. Yeah. Always act from connection is another one. And then I did loving accountability.
I'm sure it's in your nervous system.
Yeah.
It's something that you're living, right? But it's not here right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be. It seems like maximizing enjoyment is another one of these, right? Or not maximizing it, but prioritizing enjoyment.
Yeah, that would definitely, yes. That is, yes. Yes, it's enjoyment. Thank you.
Is it that one?
It is. It's phrased differently that I still can't remember, but that's
nice.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And it's the same one our company runs on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's much easier when your personal values and principles are your company's, right?
They are. I mean, that's the thing is every CEO I've ever worked with, their consciousness is reflected in the company. I can literally go into a meeting and tell you of like a 3,000 sub 3,000 person company, maybe that hasn't grown super quickly. It might be different. I can go into a meeting and tell you about the CEO's consciousness. Any meeting in the company. It's like there's that much reflection.
How so?
If the CEO's conflict avoidant, you're going to watch conflict avoidance happen everywhere in the company. If the CEO is like demanding accountability, you're going to see demanding accountability throughout the whole company. Think about it this way: in traditional Chinese medicine or Ayurvedic medicine, you should be able to see if there's a problem, say with your liver, in your eyes, in your fingernails, in your tongue, in your pulse. I should be able to find it anywhere. And it's the same thing in a company. It's fractal in nature. If there's an issue in the company, you're going to see it pretty much anywhere.
Mm-hmm. And it's probably the same in friendships, family, relationships, right?
So typically, this is typically how a coaching session will start. I say, well, I have a personal problem and I have a business problem. And I'll say, great, tell me both. And then we'll find out it's the same problem.
Yeah.
It's very common that the underlying pattern is the same, just not identified yet.
Yeah. And I think even the way you approach day-to-day things is oftentimes how you then approach them at work. And so how you shop groceries is how you also make decisions in your company, right? So there may be a point where I go into a grocery store and I'm in a state of stress and I can't decide.
Yeah.
And then it's the same
right. Yeah. Or if somebody, if all of a sudden you're buying groceries and you're doing it on YouTube and it's a matter of whether you're going to get 100 new subscribers or 10,000 new subscribers, I bet you're going to worry about what you buy on.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So.
Yeah. How do you think somebody finds out their own principles?
Best way to do it is like through a ton of experimentation. Mm-hmm. So, and that's the same way we do it inside of a company. So you come up with the principle, you sit down for yourself and you think, okay, here are the 5 principles that I can make 80% of my decisions by, and I can, and I know I'll be successful if I live by them. And then you take one a week and you make 20 decisions based on that principle. And then you see what works and what doesn't work, what feels good, what doesn't feel good. And then you just keep on iterating like that. You're constantly, that's how we do it. And it's how I've done it.
Yeah.
And they evolve over time.
Mm-hmm. And it only takes a handful. That's beautiful.
I find that the human brain can't really take more than 7 and 5 is better.
Yeah.
And so my experience is absolutely you want to keep them limited. I mean, I apparently had a hard time remembering my 5 just now. So
maybe
I need 4.
You took all of August off.
Yes.
You do that every year?
Yes.
When did you start doing that?
About 3 years ago.
Okay, so recent.
Yeah, I mean, I've taken like 5-day silent meditation retreat every quarter, most quarters.
Really?
For a long time, and so that's really important to me. And then this is a kind of a body reset that started needing to happen, body and mind reset that started needing to happen. So I do Pancha Karma, which is a traditional Indian thing. And so it's about like full body health. It's part of the Ayurvedic medicine tradition. And so it just resets my body and my mind really well.
Oh, nice.
And so, yeah, with the amount of the way I work is, this morning I started my day at 5, probably started working at 5:45 or 6 after some meditation. And I'll work until 9 or 10 tonight, typically. So I work really intensely when I work. With that said, I make room for exercise and family. So exercise is the most important thing, because without that, I'm not a good father or a good husband. And then family is the next most important thing. But any extra time outside of that is work.
You work until 9 to 10
Typically.
p.m. tonight. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's pretty late if you get up at 5 a.m.
Yeah. I go to sleep. I go to sleep at 10. Say it again.
Let's talk about that, Joe. What's driving this?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have breaks in the middle of the day, kind of, with working out, and
yeah, I'll do working out, and I family time and all that good stuff. But like I work a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
But I love my work. Like there's
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
reason
No,
for
that's
not
great.
to
And
work.
I think that makes it very inspiring that you're somebody who works intensely and a lot, and you teach or train on feeling emotions. And because usually you have people who are like,
Yeah.
like hardworking, and they're like, oh no, just deal with your emotions, just like get over it. And then you have the hippie who's like meditating, and it's like, but you blended those two together, which I think probably makes you a lot more effective at reaching people who are insanely hardworking.
Yeah. You're right about the sleep thing. I'm not a strict schedule guy, so I'm not like I'm up at 5 o'clock every day. So I sleep as much as I need to sleep. It's like sleep is really important. So there's some days where I'm asleep at 7. I mean, I'm awake at 7.
Yeah.
A lot of days it's 5. A lot of times I go to sleep at 10.
Yeah.
But my sleep is also incredibly freaking important to me. If the sleep goes, then it's over.
What do you do in that month that you take off?
So that 1 week is family. So we are without phones. We do nothing but just hang out as a family. And we do that twice a year, Thanksgiving week and that week. And then the other, I do Panchakarma. So I'm basically, Panchakarma consists of, I don't really talk to anybody except for the doctors and the people, but it's basically you do 2 to 4 hours of treatments a day, and you eat 3 meals a day. And then the rest of the time I'm just basically in silence or meditating. I don't go completely offline. So I might do like a little writing or a little bit of, like if I have a creative idea, I don't react to anybody, but if I have something that I want to push into the world, I'll do that during that time period, but I won't be responsive or anything like that.
So you're at a retreat, basically.
Yeah, like there's
place.
Ayurvedic hospitals is what they're called. But it's basically just a building where you're everybody there is getting some sort of treatment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough.
No.
Okay.
No.
That's my
No,
assumption.
I could do it forever, man.
Really?
Like, yeah. I don't, yeah.
Because to me, it sounds like, I'm not really doing much. Then you're taking care of your body. You're talking to the doctors there. And
Yeah, like
sitting
maybe
in
1 hour every
wow.
maybe an hour every week, if that.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a tough time taking time off. I think it's very common nowadays, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have any problem with it, but I know that some people do. Yeah, I don't know how common it is though.
What are the most common patterns that you see in your coaching sessions?
Most common patterns are kind of, I would say, the repressed anger pattern, which is stuckness, depression, negative more negative self-talk. Then that's a pretty common pattern that I see a lot, not in my coaching practice, but in students and that go through the courses. That's a really common practice. I'm sorry, a really common pattern. Another really common pattern is people who are constantly trying to avoid fear in life, and so they're just in a constant state of avoidance. And I don't get the worst of those because you wouldn't sign up for a course.
Oh yeah,
or have me as a coach.
Because it's scary.
Yeah, because the avoidance, those, but that's a really common pattern that I see. But patterns are a little more useful when they're specific to somebody. So those are the broad ones, but you don't get a lot of traction and transformation with those. The one that you would get more transformation that applies to everybody is something I call the golden algorithm, which is basically the emotion you're avoiding, you're attracting in the exact way that you're avoiding it. So let's say when I was in my 20s, my parents had emotionally abandoned me. So I was trying to avoid emotional abandonment. Anytime I saw it coming, I did one of two things: either
close off
or chase, right? I'd either be needy or I'd close off. Well, as it turns out, both of those two things invite emotional abandonment. And so I was inviting the thing in the exact way I was trying to avoid it. This happens all the time. I was just in a company, and the company is in overwhelm. So what does a company in overwhelm do in a meeting? They run into the meeting, they run out of the meeting, they multitask in the meeting, they don't assign tasks at the end of the meeting, all of which create more overwhelm. Why did you have the meeting if you don't have any action items that come out of it? Why did you have the meeting, if you're not connected, if you're multitasking, like what's going on? So it's everywhere. Everywhere is like, if you want to find your pattern, the best way to do it is to say, what is the emotion that I'm trying to avoid? How am I trying to avoid it? And you will see the whole pattern play out.
What is the emotion I'm trying to avoid?
Yeah. What's the emotion I'm trying to avoid? And then what do I do to avoid it, and how that's recreating it. And the system is actually really intelligent as to why it does this. So we're like little kids, and I was told, like, you can't feel emotionally abandoned. Like, that's happening to you, but you can't feel it because that'll be death. And so my system was like, no, I'm not going to feel that. And so I did everything I could not to feel that. But for me to get back to homeostasis, for me to get back to balance, I have to feel it. So my consciousness is recreating that pattern over and over and over again until I feel it. And then as soon as I feel it, as soon as I get there and I'm like, oh, that's the emotional abandonment I've been avoiding, I'm going to go into it. I'm going to embrace that intensity. I'm going to go there. Then the pattern stops. It's amazing how quickly the pattern stops when you actually go into the emotion that you're avoiding. And so it's this like really great life hack.
Yeah. Wow. How did you get into coaching?
By being a bad investor or not very good investor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you were in the VC world before?
As a VC world, and I was in it for 15 years. So if anybody knows the VC world, it means that I wasn't horrible at investing. But the thing about the key to being a great venture capital investor is that you can identify talent that doesn't need you. Like, I mean, that CEO is going to be successful no matter what is the best bet. Not the industry, not anything else. It's just like, if you can invest in somebody who you can identify is going to be successful no matter what, their company's going to pivot, they're going to change, they're going to do something different. The second most important thing is to be able to pick an industry and timing, or a trend and the timing right. But the most important thing is a great a great CEO. So if you think about it like the golden rule of venture capitalists, there's no idea so good, bad management can't fuck it up. Right?
Yeah.
And there was how many Amazon competitors, but Amazon won. That's all based on great management. I didn't understand that when I first started investing. And so I picked not so great management, and particularly because of my neuroses, people who needed my help. And so at some point I was like, whoa, I have to turn these investments around. And so I started coaching the people.
Oh.
And so then my reputation as a coach, next thing I knew, there was like more people wanting my coaching. I couldn't do it. So I started a class.
Wow.
And then at some point there was just, so
reluctant coach.
And that coaching came just because of my, that was always what I was dedicated to, was my own self exploration. So I was 7 years meditating in a room most days and doing every single form of self-discovery that I could find. So there's 25 years of committed self-experimentation and self-discovery before I coached the first person.
So you didn't choose coaching. Coaching chose you.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Highly recommend that. There's a lot of people who want to be a coach these days. I don't quite understand.
I think I know why.
Yeah. Tell me.
I think there's a lot of people launching courses on how to be a coach.
Yeah.
And I think usually you can tell by that they oftentimes they're such good salespeople. Like, even with e-commerce or anything else, it's like, hey, I'm going to teach you how to do this. I'm going to teach you how to start a social media marketing, whatever it is.
Yeah.
They're so good at marketing it that they make you want something you didn't want in the first place. And so
so you're saying that people,
I
see that because the courses are producing these people who now think that, Yeah. I mean, I know a whole bunch of reasons people become coaches that they shouldn't become coaches, because I've lived those, like, if you're wanting to help somebody, like, please don't be a coach. It's quite dangerous. If you want to be, a lot of people become a coach because they want the connection without the risk. Oh, look, I get to feel really connected with you, but there's actually no risk in my relationship. So it's not real connection.
Because they're vulnerable, but I'm not.
That's right. And then and then the other one is the reason is that I want to be the person that, like, it's a narcissistic kind of, I want to be the person that people ask for advice. I want to be the guy.
I came to save the day.
Yeah. Well, there's saves the day, and there's also just being the guy. Like, I'm the knower in the room, and like, so all of those reasons, you really stay away from coaching because you'll do damage.
Yeah, the cult leader kind of people.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so how did you learn it from there?
So I never learned coaching. So, and it's why we have programs. They're off menu. We don't like really discuss them, or we definitely don't advertise them. But if people have done a lot of our work and they want to facilitate with us or coach, we have like programs for them, but we never give a certificate or anything, because for us, the thesis is that, and it's the way that it worked for both my wife and I, is that you just do your self-discovery work and then you become capable at coaching. Like, there's maybe like 10 or 20 little hacks in coaching, but the real thing is your own consciousness. It's your own capacity, your own consciousness. And so that's what you develop. And as you develop that, you learn the hacks to coaching because you're learning the hacks to yourself.
Yeah.
So it's not about like, here's a set of tools for you to be a successful coach. It's about like, are you in wonder with yourself? Are you being vulnerable with yourself? Are you empathetic with yourself? Are you being impartial with yourself? Are you acting from shoulds? Or are you acting from wants? Are you living principled, or are you not living principled? When you actually live in a way where you have a great relationship with yourself, you'll be a good coach.
Kind of goes back to the idea that you talked about earlier, which is that when you go into a meeting, you can tell what the CEO's what the CEO is resisting or what their struggle is. I guess the same thing with coaching, right? If I haven't gone there myself,
Correct.
I either don't see it in you, or I'm not able to move through it with you, because
Or you'll avoid the
exactly. And then we project
right
what we don't like on the other person as well. Okay.
Yeah. And oftentimes people are looking for the coach to make the decision, and that's the easy way out.
Yeah.
I'll make a decision for your life. This is what you should do.
Yeah.
Really dangerous.
Yeah.
That you're just teaching people how to be disempowered. At the best case scenario, worst case scenario, you're indoctrinating people.
Yeah. Fascinating.
And that's part of the reason I like working with really powerful CEOs, because they will never allow that. They're never going to be like, okay, I'm going to hand over my decision making to some coach. That's never going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's far more of a relationship where it's like grounded and like a real relationship, not some sort of power dynamic.
And that's the episode. Thanks so much for listening. And if you liked it, then go check out another episode just like this one, which I'm going to link here on the screen, and I'll see you over there.